Wow, it's hot, but we're gonna get started. Let's see what we can get done today. All right, well, time to pull the motor back out. Got a couple of things to finish up. We need to notch the bell housing so we can fit the starter. Also, I didn't put the clutch or the flywheel in, kind of important things. So we're gonna get that out. We're gonna get the transmission finished up. We'll get it all mated back together. By then, I'm hoping the oil pan will be here. We can slap the oil pan back on, or on for the first time. Put it back in the engine bay, except for this time we'll get it supported on something, not just the cross member. That way we can start mocking up mounts and make this its final home. That being said, let's get started. Well, engine's back out. See in here the damage that I caused. Definitely scraped this up, scraped up the tunnel, cut this guy a little bit. Nothing I can't touch up, so not too bad. Apparently completely missed the paint there. But we'll get this jack out of here, get it underneath the transmission, get it unbolted, and start working on it. Alright, so before we get this all taken apart, we need to figure out where this starter lands. This is the factory starter that came on the engine. What I'm going to do is kind of line it up with these holes here. Make sure that it's centered in the hole over here where it's going to land. And we're going to mark the center point of where we need to cut. We'll cut it a little bit bigger than we need to because it's not going to make that big a difference. But then we'll pull this off. We'll make a little template and we'll chop that out. Alright, so what we need to do now is figure out how far this thing sticks out past our plate, which is just the tiniest little bit. So again, I'm just going to mark this thing so I have an idea of how much I need to cut out to get it to fit into the transmission tunnel. So you can see I need to notch the bell housing this deep and the width from here to here. So we'll draw that up, we'll get that cut out, and we can put all the rest of our parts in. So this isn't probably the best way to do this, but it is the way that I'm going to do it. Got my center line there. I've got my cutout line. So I'm going to line these two pieces up the best I can. Probably going to flip it around this way. Match up my center line with the line that needs cut out. And then I can basically figure out my outside points and then just kind of connect the dots here. Like I said, if it's a little bit bigger than it needs to be, it's not going to be the end of the world. And if it's a little bit smaller, we can cut it bigger. So I'm going to start with this and hack this big chunk out. That should make it to where that fits right in there. To do that, I'm going to use an angle grinder. You want to see people cutting it up, there's a bunch of videos on how to do it. I'm going to take this thing in the back where I've got power and chop it out, and then I'll be back. Okay, well, Not my best work, but it's a hole. Now, put the starter in. It should line up with these bolt holes and have clearance, which it does. It's got too much clearance, but really that's okay. I mean, there's not a whole lot in here that can get messed up by dirt, so I'm gonna run with it. There's a couple other videos out there where people made some templates and did a lot better job cutting that hole. If you're doing the same, I suggest you look for one of their videos and follow what they did. Mine works, but you can definitely do a better job. So now I'm going to pull this apart. I'm going to get the flywheel on, get the clutch bolted up, finish up the couple of pieces that I need to swap out inside the transmission, the throwout bearing in, bolt it back together, hopefully for the last time. So, my original plan was to replace this seal. What I've been reading, the seal doesn't go bad very often. Plus, I've been having bad luck putting seals in. I can get the transmission out of this car pretty quickly. I'm just going to ride it for just now. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to bolt that flywheel up, get the clutch bolted up. Then, in here, I've got a new pin, got a new sleeve. We'll get all that installed too. So, if you remember from a previous video, all this is TF Works. I've got my factory Honda bolts here. These are what we're going to be using to mount this up. My sweet TF Works sticker. Got my guide pin. Also came with a special throwout bearing, which has been extended for the ZF 5-speed. Apparently, the one that came with the clutch won't work. As a matter of fact, I don't have it out here right now, but before I get the clutch installed, I'll show you the difference between these two throwout bearings. So here's our big giant flywheel. I'll get this unwrapped, get it mounted up, but first I'm going to go ahead and just clean this up a little bit, make sure the mounting surface is nice, and yeah, then we'll start bolting it up. Alright, I'm just going to kind of get these a little twist to get them started. Now, I'll grab the torque wrench, figure out how to hold this guy straight, and we'll tighten them down. Well, here's a new fun thing that I found out. I only have an inch-pound torque wrench. I need to torque this down to 87 pounds. That's 936 inch-pounds, and my torque wrench only goes to 250. So, I think for now, we'll finish up this side. Hopefully it doesn't rain on us. And then I'll go buy a new torque wrench, because I need one. Alright. Made it to the store, and now I own a torque wrench. Got me a 1/2-inch Husky here. So, we're going to take a pry bar, we're going to stuff it in here, we're going to torque all these down. Luckily it hasn't been too long, so I don't think the thread locker is dried yet. Alright, so we got R17 here. To start, I'm going to set this to 60 pounds. Hopefully, being a brand new torque wrench, it'll be nice and accurate. Ooh, this is not going to be easy. And I just scratched my sweet plate. I might have to call in some help for this one. I'm gonna go get my assistant. That's that.
That's all?
Yep.
Okay.
Super important that those get tightened down to the correct spec though, because that's what's spinning on the back of the engine and what the clutch actually hits against. And if one of those bolts comes out and spins around in there, you're gonna have all kinds of problems. Well, all right. Now that we've got that all torqued to spec, you can see it. It's a little dark out here, but we're gonna go ahead and put the clutch in. So I'm gonna get the clutch, the throwout bearing. So I mentioned before that this is a extended throwout bearing. And if you remember from my little unboxing short, I ended up with the Clutch Masters XF100. So this is the throwout bearing that comes with the clutch. And this is the one we need to use for our kit. You can see considerably taller. So what I'm doing here is I'm increasing the diameter of this piece that's going to fit in that pilot bushing. So we want it to be a nice snug fit. And that way everything will line up really well. There we go. That's what I wanted. Nice and snug. A little wobbly because there's a lot of tape on there. But hopefully these pins and stuff will line everything up well, and that'll be good enough. If not, we're going to have a fight putting the transmission in. Okay, and now the clutch. I'm using the bolts that came in the TF Works kit. Looks like they need to be 20 foot-pounds. Luckily, I had the wrong torque wrench to begin with. It does inch-pounds, because my new one only goes down to 50. I'm starting to think this is not the right piece. It is a lot bigger, unless it's not supposed to line up with those dowels, but I can't imagine it not supposed to. This seems really big. All right, well, I'm going to watch a video and then I'll be back. Well, I think that's the end of this video. This pressure plate is too big. It is not the one that goes with this kit. Now, I had TF Works order it for me, but they bought it from Clutch Masters and had it drop shipped to me. I'm hoping, even though I've had it for months, that they'll be willing to exchange it. The clutch looks like it fits fine. The friction surface, it looks nice. That looks perfect. Dialed in. Lines up exactly how it should line up. But I have tried every hole on this kit. And I just watched a few videos, and every single person put the dowels on and they lined up and held the plate up. What I noticed is if you center this, it is much bigger around than my flywheel. If you put one of these pins in, none of the other pins line up. Plus, look at how close it is to this clutch alignment tool. This is the wrong pressure plate. I can't do anything with this. So hopefully next time you'll see me putting the clutch on for the final time. Also, I notice this one has a little mark in it. These little scratches I'm not too concerned about, but that's pretty pretty big defect. So yeah, I'll get a new pressure plate. We'll get this put back together, and hopefully it works at that point. All right. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this. Hit the like button. Really helped me out a bunch. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.